Okay, guys, this is the Tactical Intellectual channel. Welcome back to it, or welcome to it. Now, before I start, I have to give a disclaimer. This is not meant to foment hatred. It's not meant to cause divisiveness. It's not meant to say that we're better than, but this is all educational in purpose. And the goal is to shine light on issues and show that there's nothing new underneath the sun. There's problems with ego, pride, and people who are just simple-minded for sake of being simple-minded. Now, the subject matter is not FBA this time, but it's meant to show my people FBA, Solon, if you want to call it, Friedman, what have you. Now, the main goal is for us to sit on the sidelines and look at an issue that is in the United Kingdom and see, hey, they are going through the same issues that we're going through. It's just that instead of us being the main players in this fiasco, we got another group who represents what it means to be melanated. Their culture is front and center in that nation right there, in that country. And we have immigrants coming in who, quite frankly, they're feeling envious about that, and they want to kind of overthrow that stature, so to speak. That's the only way I can phrase it. That's the best way I can phrase it right there. So we got to look at it and like, okay, what's the common denominator here? Okay, now let me go ahead. I did a reaction, so I'm gonna go ahead and play it right here. And it's about a woman she's actually from Jamaica, but then she moved to the UK, and she was met with some foolishness. And you just have to know that this is a long time thing. You know, the woman that I play, this is before her time here, this little rivalry or competition, so to speak, between West Indians and continental Africans. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it and take notes and peep game too. And the title of the video is Jamaicans Aren't Allowed to Deny Africa, and Jamaica Doesn't Have a Culture, and it's by the content creator Ro Speaks, and I will leave the link to her video in the description so you can look at the video in full. But remember, this is a teaching moment here, and the main aim is to realize that, okay, the castigation or claims by Africans towards us saying that we have no culture, FBA that is nothing new under the sun. The Jamaicans in the UK and really West Indians in the UK, they already experienced that attitude from Africans already. You know, the descendants of the Windrush and current fresh off the boat West Indians to the UK, they've experienced that claim too, that, you know, that rivalry that Africans want with people not African. But let's go ahead and check out the video, and I'll probably do some skipping and I'll comment on whatever piques my interest. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rowan Robinson and I am your boss babe queen. You see the background, you know the vibes. If you've been rocking with my channel, you know that whenever this background comes up, we're doing an episode of Ro Speaks. But so before I jump into this video, I want to put you guys onto this plug. So this says Yamaban, the country's outline of the Jamaican flag. You all know that I am Jamaican, or if you didn't know, now you know. I wanted to touch on a topic that has been on the forefront of my mind for the longest while, but I just never thought to do a video on it. I was watching a video by Nella Rose. So if you guys don't know, Nella Rose is a UK influencer and YouTuber and stuff like that, right? And she does some amazing videos. I actually really like her and I love her channel. She's doing this series on her channel, and in it, like she put up some questions where she had a group of friends and they would discuss the questions. And one of the questions that she had in today's episode.
All right, before she proceeds, now if you're FBA, you already have a lot of experience, or you already know what these UK Africans or UK folk are all about. You know, they have that British outlook on things. But let's go ahead and move forward.
Said Jamaicans are not allowed to not claim Africa. So Jamaicans are not allowed to try to differentiate themselves from Africa. So whenever somebody asks me what am I should say African. Now in this video, I am going to speak on it because why that video triggered me. And let me tell you why it triggered me. Since coming to the UK, I have found out that there is this fabricated beef between Jamaicans and Africans. Certain little things that they nitpick at us for, plantain, and all sort of foolishness, yeah? When I saw the question and the reaction in the video, for the majority of the folks that were there, they were saying, oh, we need to know our roots, we don't know our roots and stuff. So I just thought, you know what? This has actually been a thought in my mind and I want to address it. Before we do that,
Yeah, you know what? All that, hey, you don't know your history. You know, what is this? A preemptive strike on, I guess, colonizing and taking over our culture? I'm not Jamaican, but I'm just saying from an FBA lens, we've seen this a lot. and get this video right here that I'm reacting to is 4 years old. So them UK Africans and them West Indians, they've been dealing with this, long before we have. But let me go ahead and move forward.
Pray. Father, I ask that you let my speech be with grace, seasoned with salt, that I may know how I ought to answer this question. Amen.
All right, let me move forward. And it's a good thing she prayed because, you need some type of, you need to pray when dealing with these Africans that have that type of mentality, though. The Frank Zanu type of mentality.
Let's jump into it. The statement says that Jamaicans do not have the right to not claim being African, right? As Jamaican, I have to state that I am African, and that Jamaicans do not know their roots. Like, as I said, because of what I actually went through when I was at uni and some of the things, it wasn't that bad, but some of the things I was hearing, like Africans were saying about Jamaicans and stuff. One of them being that Jamaica doesn't have a culture. I just wanted to debunk all of that, and I wanted to educate some people as well. So I thought this video is good. So if you know somebody who thinks like this, please do share this video with them so that we can have a reasoning, all right?
Yeah, and like I say, this is not meant to disrespect Africans, but it's all a teaching moment, and for FBAs too.
Good on night now, yeah? First and foremost, do not ever claim that Jamaicans do not know their history. Don't ever claim that Jamaicans don't know where our roots are and where it comes from. If you're ignorant to not know your history, that's on you. But Jamaicans, I can tell for definite that that's one thing that we do know. Why? Because it's actually a part of our curriculum. When we go to school, we literally have to learn our history about the slave trade, the transatlantic triangle passage and all that. We know about all that because everybody in Jamaica can tell you that indigenous people were there, and when the island was invaded by the whites, mass genocide of the indigenous people, whatever, then slavery started, right? And they started bringing in people from Africa, whatever. So literally, we know all that. When I say I'm Jamaican, I'm not trying to say there's no African in me. The fact that I am black shows that somewhere down the line, my ancestors, some of them came from Africa. You cannot tell me that I'm supposed to say I'm African. No, I'm going to say I'm Jamaican because this is where I know. This is where my parents are from, their parents, and their parents' parents are from, all right? So I am Jamaican. That does not take away the fact that I have African blood in me. I am black by default. Like, I am going to have some ancestors who came from there. The second thing is, Jamaica is literally called a melting pot, yeah? We're called a melting pot for a reason. If you don't know, our motto says, out of many, one people. So for you to say that Jamaicans do not have the right, that's what triggers me, when they say do not have the right, as if firstly, who are you to tell us what right we have or not? Did somebody make you God? And secondly, when you say Jamaicans don't have the right to say that they're not from Africa, you do realize that not all Jamaicans are black, right? Like, out of many, one people. Literally, a melting pot. Literally.
I'm gonna tell her right now, not Jamaicans, but Africans, some of them really don't realize that. I've seen videos of Africans being disappointed because they actually thought that Jamaica was in Africa. You know, they thought that Jamaica is an African country. Let me rewind it a little bit so she can get the full thoughts.
People, literally a melting pot, literally meaning that there are so many variations of people out in Jamaica. They're not all black. Not everyone in Jamaica has lineage that came from Africa. So for you to say the whole country needs to now claim that I am Africa, no. When we're out in Jamaica, we don't look at each other and think, okay, yeah, you look like you come from this country in Africa, or you look like it. No. All of we are Jamaicans. Once you're home, you're born in Jamaica, we call it a Jamaican. Africa is a whole continent, and for some reason, there are some African people that keep coming for Jamaica as if Jamaica is the only Caribbean island. Like, I know so we look about to Talawa, and I know that our people are so vibrant, and everywhere we go with energy, it just dead, and we're so proud of it. But remember, we're not the only Caribbean island. Jamaica don't make up the whole Caribbean. The Caribbean has so many different islands. Why do you keep coming for us? Honey, we down here vibes in. And it's so sad because it's not every African that does it. But there are some that do. And for the ones that do, yo, stop it. I even had a classmate tell me that Jamaica does not have...
Hey, yo, listen to this right here. This is her personal experience. So I know online there's a lot of Africans who's pissed off at Tariq Nasheed, but he experienced the same thing that she has daily. Now, let me rewind it so you can get the full thoughts, so she can say her full statement.
I even had a classmate tell me that Jamaica does not have its own culture. And I just thought to myself, because remember, he's going to my uni, so that means you are educated, mate. You sat there and you processed that thought. Yeah? Use your big brain, process that thought. Then utter those ignorant words. In your heart, you really and truly believe that Jamaica and have the culture. And that is such an ignorant statement that I was unable to fathom it. How are you going to say Jamaica does not have a culture when Jamaican culture is one of the most recognized worldwide? Yes, worldwide. Bob Marley, them are tell about reggae, them are tell about food, them are tell about dance, them are tell about athletes, hello? If we did not have a culture, how could you differentiate Jamaican people from Africans or from wherever you come from? How? Our vibe is different. Our culture is different. When you think about dancehall, where do you think about? When you think about jerk chicken, where do you think about? When you hear about Bob Marley, what do you think about? When you hear about weed, what do you think about? When you hear about patois, what do you think about? And even though that is a misconception because every island has their own dialect and version of patois, but when people hear about patois, instantly they start thinking about Jamaica. Jamaican culture is so appreciated around the world. For you to just claim that we do not have a culture, it is even past bias, it's past ignorance. It is just such a dumb statement to make. Even if you don't like Jamaicans, you know when Jamaican has been here, or when Jamaican culture is here, or this come from Jamaica. Do you know what I mean? Like, give credit where credit is due, fam.
Hey man, that's tough because you're dealing with a people that they're tribalistic, so they have a big ego and pride. That pride is top notch. I give Africans that their ego and pride is off the charts, but there's other things that are lacking when you enter into certain topics. Folks don't know everything. So, and the audacity by Africans is high. And like I say, a lot of them have issues with what I'm saying, but hey, their own countrymen say the same thing.
Don't you ever go to somebody, and regardless of the country, so not just Jamaica now, don't come to me and say that foolishness, because that annoys me, but don't you ever go to another person who's from a different country and tell them that they do not have a culture. Every single...
Yeah, it's too late.
country has a culture, right? They have something that uniquely belongs to them. So you see, all of my little Caribbean island, them, as little as they are, every single one of them has something that is unique to them and them alone. Jamaica is not just from Africa. Do you understand? The slaves that were in Jamaica were not just from there. So if you even took a short minute to go do your research and actually look up into our Caribbean history as a whole, you would have found that out. So for you to be ignorant is saying that Jamaica has no right to not claim that they're African. That is an ignorant statement.
And you know what? Africans, some of them don't care. That's why you can't really speak to the lay African. You have to speak to the more educated, scholarly types, man, because you can actually hold them accountable because, well, you know what? Second thought, you just mentioned the example of your classmate who's in university with you, and he's up here saying some trash like that. But I digress.
If it was a case where all of us said no African blood is in me, then that's different now, because that would be wrong as well. But do not tell me that I should tell you that I am African. I am Jamaican. This is where I'm from. This is all I know. Come to Jamaica anytime and me tell anything about any of the 14 parishes. If you send me go to Africa, first of all, which country in Africa I come from? I could not tell you a clue. And the possibility is that I don't come from one. My ancestors will mix up, come from different things.
Hey, to be honest with you, those of us in the Americas, we have that three-way amalgamation going. I've already spoken on this, but hey, it's deep with us. And Jamaica, Barbados, Montserrat, the Bahamas. I mean, it's deep, man. And then, the U.S. mainland, it goes really deep. And, Africans don't even know anything about this. There's a few Africans and a lot of West Indians that know, and a lot of FBA, they know this stuff too, but it's really deep. It's not conventional. You don't really learn this in compulsory school, elementary, middle, or high school like that.
And it's so biased because do you then do that for every single person? Because if you go to a random person, do you know how many places they're from? So which one of them do you claim? Thankfully, Nella was saying, well, no, guys, if we all, looked at that, then none of we would know where we come from. Let's be real. Because everybody has something mixed up in their history, in their ancestral background, that you could have said, oh, I come from this, I come from that. Everybody has a mixture. Some of my ancestors came from there, yes. And I acknowledge that, and I am proud of that as well. But when you ask me about where I'm from and who I am, I will proudly tell you that I am Jamaican. I am 100% Jamaican. But they want to say planting or plantain or planting, like we say to yard, that's none of your goddamn business. Make sure that when you go to rage, you don't be jumping up to our dancehall, jumping up to our reggae, because we're jerk chicken. At the end of the day, all are we black. All are we black. You think when they're trying to kill off black people, they're looking and saying, oh yeah, she look like she's Jamaican. Yeah man, I want to come from Haiti. Yeah man, I want to come from St. Vincent. Yeah man, him, Nigerian. No. They see black. They see the color of their skin. Our problem is that we try to compete with each other too much. The irrelevance of it, like why are we competing with each other? Allow everybody to be who they are. Don't tell me that I come from a country and I cannot claim the country, I should claim this. Don't do that. Appreciate.
I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of them want to destiny swap. They want you to go where they're at, and they want to come in and assume or resume your identity right there. So let me go ahead and move it back a little bit. But that's the ploy right here.
I cannot claim the country, I should claim this. Don't do that. Appreciate me as a black person and just run with the vibes, no? Make we learn how to build up each other, make it to all we come together and say, alright, boom. I'm black, I'm in a position of power. How can I help more people up? How can I form like alliances to get more representation of black people in positions of power?
Now, switching back to the FBA perspective, we've done that. I know this is about Jamaica right here, but we've done that. We've actually allowed, we fought for people to come over here into this country, and we've helped them out, and we've allowed them to assume political roles where they're close to power, where they can actually, where they can be in legislation and presidency, lawmakers and all of that stuff. And it's really coming back to hurt us because we're too selfless. We were trying to be so malleable that it burnt us in the end. But I like what she said about the competition. We wasn't competing with anyone, and I guess that was foolish on the part of our pioneers, because they should have went the Claude Anderson route and been more about ourselves. It's almost like being in an airplane and they tell you, hey, if you can't swim, save yourself. But you know, don't allow yourself to drown, and then the other person, they're gonna drown too. Save yourself, or at least learn how to swim. AKA get our skills up. Take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of somebody else. Well, let me go ahead and play it.
So that when anything go wrong, with black people them there for help with. And all this energy for the Jamaican people. We're not even the biggest island in the Caribbean. Do you know that? I get it. And it's because Jamaicans are so proud of who we are in it. And like, people don't understand why we are so proud of the fact that we are Jamaicans. In fact, like, one of the most searched questions about Jamaica is, why are Jamaicans so proud? My people are absolutely amazing. The vibes, the energy, the drinks, the food, the ambiance, like, just being there and experiencing it for yourself, you will understand why I'm absolutely delighted to be Jamaican. I am proud of who I am. I am proud of my country, flaws and all. Yes, down the tough. Yes, sometimes we come and foreign to make a better life, we help out and to try to put yourself better, but make no mistake, Jamaica is absolutely amazing, and I am blessed to be Jamaican. And because we have that thought, and because we have that energy wherever we go, we make no apologies for it. Can we just all come together and try to stick together? Support them like a black business there, yeah? Support each other, make we elevate up a little. Make we not about to fight against each other, and let's try to see the bigger picture, because in the grand scheme of things, that is not even the conversation we should be having. You're entitled to your own fallacies, your own flaws in logic. Don't go to somebody and say it out loud, especially to the country that you're trying to diss. Don't go to a Jamaican and say, yo, your country has no culture. Yes, it's an ignorant statement, and then also that it's also offensive. If I came to you and this, like, a country where you're from, yeah, you would feel some type of way, because at the end of the day, that's your country, and that's where you represent, and regardless of whatever happened there, it is who you are. So if I come from there and you think I come from there, then treat me like I come from there, yeah? Don't try to be competing with me, alright? Jamaican people, one love. African people, one love. And it is not all Africans, as I said before. It's just for the few ones who be screaming the loudest. Let me know if, as a Jamaican, you face this as well. I feel like it is only in the UK that we have this fabricated thing against each other. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Alright, so that's enough of that right there. Dope video. I'm definitely gonna shout her out. But when it comes to this competition thing, the genie is out of the bottle, man. They come over here to the United States, and it's just one lie after another. They're trying to build a narrative to, I guess, weaken us. What is called an ethnocide. You diminish or start trying to actively discredit these people and innovators. You try to say, hey, that wasn't really that. It's deep, man, and it's so pervasive when it comes to these Africans and us. There's Africans that talking about, hey, the slaves, when they got off the boat, they was rapping and stuff, and that's really, by proxy, it came from us. And I saw one video where it was a South African, and this is no shots at the South Africans, but he was misled to believe that South Africans came up with R&B, rhythm and blues. Now in South Africa, they didn't have the blues, so I mean, there's elements that you guys lack. So how could y'all come up with the full product if y'all didn't have the elements already there to draw from and combine to make a new genre? So I mean, this type of mentality. This is the mentality that we are dealing with. They're not doing their due diligence and actually researching and vetting the information to properly make that claim that they're trying to make. Let's slide back to Jamaica right here. Now, I know the history of the Windrush generation, and when it comes to cultures that's strong, people that have a strong brand worldwide, of course, My people have a very strong culture. FBA, the freedmen, black Americans that are rooted in the United States. We have a strong culture. Jamaica has a strong culture. Rihanna, she was building up the brand of the Bajans, Barbados, I mean, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Brazilians, they have a strong brand. But I think Jamaica, they have a brand that's stronger than any African country. Especially Nigeria. I mean, well, Nigeria, they're becoming infamous now, but I mean, Jamaican culture really do influence African cultures. I can say that. I'm just a bystander, making my own assessments. Because a lot of Africans they try to pick up that the lingo and the aura of Jamaicans. Instead of saying thing, they be dropping their head. Our team is our team. That's basically West Indian right there. But I don't want to ramble. But this was a good video to react to, and the information, the experience. We're not the only one as FBAs. We're not the only one that have to battle against them. But the campaign against us, it's not only Africans, but we got Pan-Africans, the sellout class who's aiding these people in narrative building against us, because I really don't know the motivations of it, but that destiny swap is real. Because, like I say, Africans, they want to try to pick up our benefits and accomplishments and history and insert themselves in there. Hence the word tether. They want to inject themselves into our history. And that's really what I think they were trying to do with Jamaica, trying to say, hey, you don't have a culture. Everything you got, Jamaica, is from Africa. That's how they want to come across, man. And I did that terrible impersonation accent because I heard a guy, an African cat called Tariq, he was like, Africa. It's just crazy. But that's about it with this segment. Now, I definitely found that interesting. Now, when it comes to conflict resolution, this is something that us FBA, Sulan, Freedmen, whatever you want to call yourself, the foundationals, when it comes to conflict resolution and being somewhat of a diplomat, we can definitely draw from this. And we have issues with some West Indians, and it's definitely not all. There's definitely more West Indians in their right mind than it with the Africans. I'll say that. That's 100%. I'll die on that hill right there. But this is something that we can use towards these Pan-Africanist Sambo class of West Indians when they want to say, hey, you're being divisive. Africans are our brothers and blah, blah, blah. Hey, let's just say, hey, guys, you would do the exact same thing we're doing. And we know that because we have examples of what's happening in the UK. And that has been going on as long as, the African FBA issue or the African West Indian issue. A good 60-year run. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, the West Indians, when they went to the UK or were reintroduced back to the UK, the homecoming, they set the tone for what it meant to be a melanated person. Their culture started really influencing UK culture, and they weren't as harsh. I'm talking about their foods and their lingo and all that. I'll say this. We know for a fact that white Londoners and other residents of the UK, the white ones, Caucasian ones, whatever you want to call them, they start being influenced. They start saying wagwanan and all of that stuff, and hey, I got these things, and they just start trying to speak with a Jamaican dialect, and then other West Indian dialects once they had enough time to peep and learn the nuance. So now, enough of me speaking about this. There's an article that I checked out and learned about when I was doing other research on different topics. So the name of that article is this right here: My Hatred of the Word Akata and Other Derogatory Slurs by Yorubas. And it's by Adebayo Adeniran. and it's from October 8th, 2002 article here, a Medium article. And just check out what it says right here. I found this part very interesting here. I want to say he's in the United States now, but his father was in the UK. And check this out. It says, my late father was a student in England in 1970s Britain. Britain was much more hostile back then to people who looked like us, and African students were very keen to distinguish themselves from black people who came from the West Indies. Yorubas in the UK used to refer to West Indians back in the 70s as Omo Erike, a word which means child of the sugarcane plantation, which essentially means slave. Okay, and then it says, and it came to no surprise that Yorubas in America chose to come up with a similar sobriquet with which to describe FBAs, Akata. So again, there's nothing new under the sun. Go back to that reaction that I did. Okay, that's a long-standing beef around the same time that we had issues with these folks after the civil rights campaign, and we had the racial quotas removed, and then Africans came over in droves, and they were very standoffish, and they was telling their children in the United States, stay away from the Akata. Well, apparently in the 70s, the same thing was happening, but it was, instead of us FBAs, it was West Indians against Africans, and they had Omo Erike as their version of Akata. And like I say, you don't hear about that anymore because, like I say, West Indians get busy. You know, I guess they're more direct than we are over here. But hey, these are people that play with machetes and stuff. And, you know, them Africans, it's a reason, man. Like I say, man, I'm cool with West Indians, to be honest with you, but the Sambos I'm not cool with at all over there. I don't even like our Sambo class. So that leads me to doing a Google search because I really want to vet information and do like an information audit, so to speak. So that leads me to do a Google search, and this is what I came up with here. So to be honest, when you're doing research, you gotta do comparative research. The Africans use Omo Erike in the UK to refer to Jamaicans, and you can kind of put in parentheses and other West Indians. So it says, yes, some people of Yoruba descent in the UK use the term Omo Erike to refer to black people from the West Indies, including Jamaicans, in a derogatory manner, particularly during the 1970s. The term is a Yoruba phrase that translates to child of the sugarcane plantation, which was used to imply slave. This usage was a reflection of some African students in the UK in that era attempting to distance themselves from West Indians during a time of significant racial hostility in Britain. The word has also appeared in other contexts within traditional Yoruba language, such as in Oriki, where Erike might refer to a sacred plant or lineage. However, the specific application to West Indians in the UK was as a slur related to the history of the sugar trade and slavery. Okay, there we go. Like I say, nothing new under the sun. To my FBA peeps, my fam and everything, use this right here when it comes to our battle against, I guess, I'm not just going to paint all West Indians with a broad brush, but I'm going to say the Sambo class, the Tether class, who just happens to be West Indian here in the United States. This is a mirror. This is a mirror, and we have to use that. They want to say that, hey, they have moral high ground. They're not going to act in our manner. But, hey, you're same people in the West Indies, and even like in this video here, a woman who came straight from Jamaica and moved to the UK, she was introduced with that foolishness, and she had to check them. So like I say, when you hear West Indians and Africans say, hey, we're being divisive for checking these people, and we roast these folks also, you know, we set them straight. Hey, West Indians, you guys are not better than us. You will do the same thing that we're doing. Why do I say that? Because you have done the same thing that we're doing when you're met with foolishness, especially of the African variety. You know, that lack of critical thought that Africans come to us with. You know, they come to FBAs, they come to my people, the FBAs, and they come to West Indians with that. We got to use this stuff because, like I say, it's a mirror. And it should shut down all this divisiveness talk that the Sambo class that moved from the West Indies to the United States bring to us. So this is a good tactic right here. And it's being intellectual, being intellectually honest. We have moral high ground when it comes to this. So we have many legs to stand on when somebody from the West Indies want to say that hatred and divisive and, you know, you're a cult, you're the CIA and blah, blah, blah. No, look at the common denominator when it comes to all of this stuff. And also, I've been made aware when it comes to these, when I read these comments, they say like folks from the French West Indies. And by French West Indies, I'm talking about those from like Guadeloupe, Martinique, the former St. Lucia, St. Bart's, even St. Martin. But the ones that's from the French West Indies and moved to Paris, they say the Africans, they in Paris and in France, they bring the same foolishness to those French West Indians. So look at the common denominator and know that, hey, if we don't check these people, they're gonna run amok, so to speak. And you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile, man. You know, it's okay to punch down, especially when these people who are beneath us, so to speak, when they trying to punch up. Can't let that happen because, you know, it's gonna destroy who you are. You gotta protect who you are. Check these people. It's all right. All right, that's about it right here. I'll see you guys later.